I came from Cuba 8 years ago with minus $8,000 in my pocket. That's the beauty of coming from nothing because you have nothing to lose.
Your W-2 job is not the enemy. It's actually an asset. A bank would rather see you have a $50,000 salary that's a W-2 than $200,000 a year as a self-employed.
For me, it was a
All right, welcome to the Hybrid Real Estate Professional Podcast, the show where we help you build your own portfolio of cash flowing rental properties that you can manage in just 20 minutes a day from anywhere in the world. I'm your host, Aaron Amin. My wife and I built a portfolio of 8 cash flowing rental properties across 3 states in 3 years, all while working full time and raising 3 young kids. Today, I'm joined by a new face and a special guest, Liuver Sanudo. Liuver and I met a few weeks ago at an in-person investor event here in Houston, Texas, where we both live. But this wasn't just any ordinary meetup. It actually took place inside of a luxury home that he and his team were in the process of flipping. He shared his story, some specifics on the deal, and advice for new investors. And suffice it to say, I was very impressed. So with that said, Liuver, welcome to the show. I'm happy to have you here.
Hey, bro. Morning, and thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited. To be here.
Yeah, you have an amazing story. So I was impressed with what I heard at the event. And then you and I got to chat a little bit afterwards, but would love for you to just give the kind of Cliff Notes version of your story to my audience here who may not know you.
Awesome, bro. So basically, I have like short story. I just came to the States 8 years ago. I'm a Latino immigrant. I'm from Cuba. So I don't smoke. That's everyone asking me if I smoke the Habanas. I'm learning to because that's smoking cigars is a great networking tool, right? So basically, yeah, I came from Cuba 8 years ago with a contract, like a job contract. I'm a software engineer, UX designer, former software engineer. So I got my visa out of Cuba. You don't get visa out of Cuba. You just escape the best way you can. At that time, was flying to Ecuador. I worked there like for a couple of months. Then I went to Mexico, and then I got into the state. I crossed the border. I mean, legally. But at that time, like Cubans have like the political asylum. So we just came to the States, got the political asylum, and took me like a couple of years to get my green card. So that's basically the story. I was telling you, I came with minus $8,000 in my pocket. Why? Because I owe the people, actually my dad and my dad's friends, I owe them money for the entire trip. And got the opportunity to pursue the American dream.
I know you mentioned you're a software designer and you did UX design. So you moved initially and you had a job here that deployed those skills? And I know now you're full-time real estate, but
Yes.
what was the kind of journey from that into real estate?
So basically, when I first came, I was in my paperwork process, so I didn't have any work permit. I did have the work permit, but not to work in companies, right? So as every immigrant, or 90%, I work in construction. I was a plumber, a helper. So I spent 8 months working as a plumber. And those plumbers, they do the roof before the foundation. Man, that was hard. But also that was money that I needed at the time. And I learned through hard work and construction, learn a little bit of construction there.
Okay. So did you do any of the software engineering stuff when you made it to the US, or that was all when you were back home?
So back home, in the process of getting my paperwork, my official work permit, I had to work on the construction site. Once after a year, I got my work permit and I landed a job in the HP.
Okay.
That was my first job as a contract. HP, then I worked there for a year, was a contract, not full time. And then I landed another job in Universal Weather in Aviation. It's a flying services, private jet services company in Lake City.
Got it. So HP, Hewlett Packard, was that the reason that you landed in Houston specifically?
No, I just came because I have family here. As a Cuban, Latino, most of Latinos, Cubans, 80% of them are in Miami, in Florida, South Florida. Yeah. But I always knew that's kind of like a instinct. If I chose Miami, I was getting into my comfort zone, right? Everyone speaks Spanish, the environment, everything. So that was like an instinct, right? I need to get out of there just to grow. I can grow in a kind of like a comfort zone, but getting out of the comfort zone in every area, I knew that I will help me grow faster. And it did, literally. And Houston was the I would say, the best city to get opportunities. And also had a family. When you first starting in everything, it's important to have help. And I have family who took me in for a month.
That's amazing. And did you grow up speaking English or did you learn when you came here?
Bro, no, actually, if you can notice, my English is not 100% good, but that's fine. I use it as a strength. But I always knew that my desire was to come to the States, right? I will say from my early age, I was always looking and watching movies without subtitles, reading. Also, the software engineering career, most of the good information and books are in English, so I quickly learned. But also with my long-term vision of coming to the States.
Yeah. So long-term vision, when you decided to come here, obviously, like you said, you had to basically go into debt in order to get here. You had to learn English and how to navigate like American society, which is, especially in a big city like Houston, it's pretty chaotic and crazy. What was your vision? Was real estate always part of it, or did you have like other things in mind when you got here?
No, I just first vision as any kind of people coming into the state, any immigrant. I would say just getting a job, but also again, I'm not the kind of person who only feels comfortable with just a job, right? I always wanted more. And also, even back in Cuba, we had no internet. In the university, yes, some, but I was already watching Robert Kiyosaki books on CDs. You remember the CDs? So I had a friend. He's an entrepreneur too. So he lent me some Robert Kiyosaki CDs. I remember 16 Minutes to Become Rich, something like that. He in a whiteboard explaining the cash flow quadrant and everything. I was like, I love this guy. So I always had that mindset, that mentality. Do more than I would say 90%, 95% of the day.
Got it. Okay, so you had some of those ideas from Robert Kiyosaki. You had a lot of drive, and you were trying to come here and figure out like what your next steps were going to be. You had software experience, but you also had construction and plumbing. Is that what got you into real estate? Was like working on the construction sites and like getting exposed to all that, or was there another catalyst?
So like a combination. So my first business, again, my mindset was like an entrepreneur. I want more. Yes, I'm going to land a good job. Perfect. It's like the kind of the perfect job, like software engineer working from home, good salary for an immigrant, just 2 years into the States, making close to 100K. Back then, that was the perfect job, right? But again, I always wanted more. So someone introduced me to a network marketing business. Network marketing, they're extremely good because they push you to grow. You have to grow because network marketing basically is like sales, networking, recruiting, growing, leadership. So someone introduced me to, as you can see here, books. Bro, I have never read a single book in my life back in Cuba before I came to the States. So that push of information, that drive of immigrant, kind of a little bit of entrepreneur, plus the knowledge and the kind of like the peer pressure of being in the business that you needed to grow to make money, because that's the marketing. I also always had the real estate on the back of my mind. So that combination, I think that was a trigger for it. And again, because I always wanted to do real estate. When you speak things, the universe, God, I don't know what you guys believe on, they put things in your way, right? God knows what you have on your heart. So through connections, like asking, I met a person who helped me buy my first place with my FHA loan.
Okay, let's talk about that first deal a bit. So you put a lot out there of energy into the world. You're reading the signs. You're interpreting back, like you said. Sometimes when you're almost manifesting that you're going to find a way to make this happen. So how did you find that first deal? And you said you worked with someone that helped you. What did that look like?
So nowadays it's super like popular. You see a lot of TikTok videos. Yeah, you can buy your place up to 4 units with the FHA or your VA. Back then it wasn't that popular. But through networking, speaking out loud what I want. One of my co-workers in HP, his boyfriend was a real estate agent, and he was investing in real estate, but like not as an on market, with off market deals. Sorry. So he was buying on market, saving for the 20%, but again, buying a little bit distressed by buying on market. So he, about that time, he was the one who told me, you can buy a fourplex with your FHA and I can help you get it. That was like a year and a half into my job after I landed that job. So we made it happen. The bank was just asking for a year and a half, like statements, the W-2 statements. That's it. I only paid $14K out of my pocket just to get that fourplex.
Sent down. So was it like a four?
Yeah, like 280, 290. The fourplex 290, I put only like 11K, remember? Can close on 6K. He helped me because he was an agent. He helped me get some credits from the seller.
Yeah.
And one thing that I remember now that I was like, wow, that's so crazy because for all the people buying real estate is like a huge step.
Yeah.
For me, that was like, yeah, what the hell? Let's do it. I don't know. I have nothing to lose. And that's the beauty of coming from nothing, because you have nothing to lose. What happens if this doesn't work? That's okay, because I came from nothing. So I just jumped right in, even losing money. But that's another story. But the first deal was like that, fast. Hey, help me buy this fourplex. I got guidance, very important. I got guidance, but I did it in 2-3 months.
Yeah, so a couple of things that I want to pull on there. So first of all, you solved the most immediate problem first, which is everyone needs somewhere to live. And if you're going to go and rent, you're going to pay somebody else who owns the property, probably $1,500, $2,000 a month, depending on, I know you have a family too, and it's not cheap to live. But if you can live in a quadplex, or if you house hack, if you do a strategy like that, then it brings your cost of living way down. So you're solving two problems. You're getting your housing expense down, and you're investing in something that's going to grow over time. And then even when you move out of that house, you can rent the unit you used to live in, and that becomes a rental property. And if you do it right, then it's going to cash flow for you. So it's great to do that as your first step, because then that puts you in a stronger position for future deals. You also mentioned mindset, which I definitely want to pull on, right? Because of where you came from and where you grew up, like your perception of this type of opportunity is so different than someone who was born and raised in the States and they don't know any different. They grow up and just thinking that, oh, it's normal. You grow up and you buy a house. Yeah. So I think like one question I have for you is, do you feel like it was harder for you to put yourself in the mindset of buying? It sounded like from what you said, it actually felt easier. Like you didn't have as much friction behind it. But was it hard for you to overcome the mindset of, oh, I'm going to go buy property, or did it come naturally?
Bro, I would say it didn't come naturally, but it came easy because of my, I would say, innocence. I was like, yeah, let's do it. I'm a kind of person who I trust everyone like 100%, unless they prove the contrary, right? So that was my friend. So I trust in him 200%. So I put literally my future on his hand, and that's my mindset with relationships.
Yeah.
And trust me, it works for me 85% of the times. Yeah. 50% of the times it doesn't work, and it hits hard when people, I don't know, betray you or don't do things that you're trusting them to do. But again, 85 to 90% of the time it works. So it makes my life easier. I trust him, and I take my money. And not even I didn't have the 14K. I took a credit card, and I remember that I had 9K saved, and I took the rest from my credit card, and I bought it.
And there are times when something like that wouldn't work out, but it sounds like because you had guidance, you had somebody that could help you understand what you're getting into and how it might work out. Like you took a calculated risk, and it sounds like that was a good building block. The other thing I want to just pull on from that story, though, is you mentioned the W-2. So you had a year and a half of experience. So you had maybe one tax return or something that showed that your salary, and then you had your pay stubs. And I remember when I went to the event that you spoke at, you were really clear, and you mentioned many times how your W-2 job is not the enemy. It's actually an asset, and it's something that is really important for most people when they're learning and building their portfolios. So I don't know if you want to say anything else on that, or like what the role of the W-2 played for you in building your current portfolio.
For me, it was a superpower at that time. Why? Because again, we all know that banks love W-2s in order to give you loans. So I bought my first 10 properties using my W-2. How? I bought the first 2 on the market, like FHA and conventional, and the other 8 using the burst strategy. I learned how to buy them off market, like distress, but then on the refinance, I was refinancing using conventional loans. Why? Because I had a W-2 and I had a nice grade. It's okay if you don't have a W-2, that's fine. You can do it with non-QM, DSCRs, other non-conventional loans. But if you have a W-2, that's not your enemy. That could be your friend at the time of refinancing and take those long-term.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it can be a huge asset, especially as you're building your initial portfolio. And it is an interesting point where I think you said it I heard you say this, where a bank would rather see you have a $50,000 salary that's a W-2 than $200,000 a year as self-employed. If you can't trace and make it really stable and consistent, they just view salaries more favorably when they're calculating what they're willing to lend you. So.
And we all know that is not true, right? You're an asset, you're a number in your boss's spreadsheet. If things go wrong in your company, you have no security. Do your own thing. But again, he said the system works like that. So for us, we need to learn how to play with the system. That's it, and take advantage of it.
Today's episode is brought to you by the Remote Real Estate Academy, the community I launched last year where I personally coach investors and empower them to buy rental properties anywhere in the United States. My business partner Nathan and I have a collective 15 years experience with over 20 cash flowing out-of-state rental properties. We provide a step-by-step playbook on how you can build your own portfolio and start accessing the life-changing benefits of real estate investing starting today. Go to remoterealestateacademy.com for more info, or better yet, shoot me an email at aaron@aaronamin.com with subject line RREA, and I'll throw in a special bonus for podcast listeners who join the Academy. Now let's get to the show. So I want to fast forward a little bit since I know we have a little shorter interview today. Where do things stand right now for you? So like with your portfolio and like the different things that you're involved in. I know you're an agent, you're also doing lending, you're an investor yourself. So what does today look like for you?
Awesome. So let me give you like a quick, after I bought my first fourplex, I bought another property with my first 10 properties was, I used my W-2 as leverage using conventional loans. But the first two, the fourplex and another house that I bought, I house hacked. Remember always the multifamily mindset. I don't know, that's why it's so important to read books and to get good mentors, because they really change your kind of mindset and your way to see things. So in real estate was Kiyosaki, Grant Cardone, all of those like multifamilies. So at that time it was, okay, how can I become a multifamily investor, but buying single family? House hacking was the way. So every house that I bought, I always added like an extra room, an extra ADU, like casita, in-house suite, something like that to make it a duplex or a triplex. So after my first two properties on market, I met relationships. That's another thing that I want to point. Relationships is who can help you. So I met my hard money lender. He helped me connect with a lot of wholesalers. He helped me into the off-market field. I even paid a course, $14,000 to learn how to wholesale. Not to be a wholesaler, just to learn how to get my own deals. So after I landed my 10th deal, the banks weren't giving me like in good non-QMs, non-conventions, because you max out. You have only 10 conventional loans under your name. So I started looking, how can I buy properties with no money and no credit? And guess what? Boom, creative finance, pays mortgage. So I started learning. I didn't left the buy cash strategy, the bird on the side, because I know that's one of the best tools to build equity from day one. But also I integrate all the creative finance skills. So that for me, that's also like a mindset thing. I need to have all the tools in my tool belt just to give the right offer, or just to have options. For us as investors, we need to have all those options. So after that, I started buying sub-twos, selling wraps. I kept buying properties cash, but now the house hacking went a little bit like more advanced mode. I started doing house hacking from scratch, meaning that I was converting properties into multi-units. I have almost all my portfolio now is like 2 duplexes to 4plexes. So that's my portfolio today is more than 50, actually close to 60 units. They're like 30 something properties because they are small multifamilies. I have notes, many properties that I bought owner finance, sub-twos that I'm selling, that is sold owner finance. 80% of the portfolio is like cash, 20% is like sub-twos that I bought. And I became an agent because when I left my W-2, that's another thing. When I left my W-2, I didn't have any cash kind of IT income coming in. So at that time, and that's why I told people in our meeting, we need to work even in the meantime, while in their W-2 or job, or we need to work in our active income business because I made that mistake.
Yeah, that's exactly what this entire show is about, really. Is people who work full time, but they're trying to build a real estate portfolio on the side. And so what you're explained from your story, I know we condensed it into a really small period of time, but you had eight years where you started by planting one seed with that quadplex. And then over time, you were building all these different skills. So like you said, you took a course just to learn how to wholesale. You didn't even want to become a full-time wholesaler, but you wanted that skill in your tool belt so you could go find good off-market deals at great prices and learn how to negotiate and learn maybe how a wholesaler thinks. Then you went and learned creative finance. Pace Morby's the most established name, the godfather of creative finance. And I've seen you built a relationship with him. You've probably participated a lot in his community. And so you learned how to go find deals in different ways over time. And it sounds like you, yeah.
It's a service that we're giving to those sellers that we're contacting. Because if you go with one option, cash only, you will disservice a lot of sellers that they don't have the deal because they don't have equity or they need more money. So for us investors, I will say that it is a service. It is a must for us to learn all those skills. And that's why I became agent too. That was my last, okay, if I cannot buy the property in any of these options, at least let me list it.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically you show up and you understand that whoever you're talking to, they might need to sell for some reason, some personal reason or a circumstance. And you want to be able to give them as many options as possible that will help solve their problem for them. Right. So whether that's a long-term seller finance, or whether it's listing it conventionally with you on the MLS, or writing a cash offer and coming in and, closing in 7 to 14 days, like you want to be able to meet them wherever they are based on the problem they have. Is that right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's how I see it. I need to imagine like a tool belt with all the tools. They're like aids. So it's creating the report or that connection with the wholesaler with the seller, and then people will know, sellers, wholesalers, everyone you meet they will know that you have the solution. If you don't have the solution, it's because there is close to no solution.
Yeah.
And that's another skill, like underwriting, right? So know the skill. I mean, know the skills, have the skills, have the tools, but also know how to place them together in order to get a good deal for everyone.
So with that said, you said there's 8 potential tools. There's all these different creative finance, all these different strategies. For someone who is just now starting and getting into real estate, they have a full-time W-2, maybe they have kids, and they want to start spending little chunks of time every day getting better. What would you say is the first place that you would suggest that they go and learn? What first strategy or first type of thing? What's the skill that you think would be most helpful to someone who's just getting started?
There is a video that I always recommend everyone, because the first person who, and I believe that's the only person who have done it, is Pace Morby. Go ahead and look for a video called Avatars in Real Estate, because we all, in the kind of like old way, every mentor teaches that you need to know how to cold call, you need to know how to negotiate, you need to hustle your way up to real estate. And I would say it's not true, because there are multiple ways to make money into real estate. There is a lender. We saw it in our deal. There were like 9 people: connectors, lenders, the cold callers, the closers. They're like literally 12. I recommend everyone to go and see that video, because it is not about the first skill that you need to know. It's about the skills that you think that will match your mind, not your mindset, your situation, right? But also your skills that match your mindset, or the way you want to do it, let's say, the way you want to go. And I know a lot of people that they have money, they love their businesses or their W-2s. They don't want to leave their W-2 because they love it, it's their passion, but they want to invest. They are not cold callers, they are not closers, they don't have the time, so they may want to invest passively. So learn your avatar. What do you think you want to fit your criteria? And from there, yes, have all the tools possible for you to grow. Meaning, learn how to buy real estate, learn how to, in multiple ways, creative. But that's it. Start with that.
Yeah, no, I love that. So we'll find that video and we'll link to it in the show notes here. But I think if I can just repeat kind of some of what I heard is that there's different avatars and there's different points in the food chain of every transaction,
Yes.
right? There's people that find the deal, there's people that fund the deal, there's people that go raise money, there's agents, there's lenders, there's so many people. And then of course the seller is an important party. So if you learn where do you have the most passion and strength towards, right? So I know I'd rather pull out my teeth than make cold calls. But I really underwriting and analyzing deals. I love networking. I love connecting people. So maybe I can find something that fits my strengths instead of me forcing myself to go cold call, which I don't like. I can find different ways to add value in the same transaction. And so I think you're encouraging people to then go figure out like where do they fit in that picture, and then how do you get the best skills to be as valuable as possible in whatever position that is. That's really good advice.
And that's one of the main things why people quit real estate, because they're starting doing something that they believe that they need to learn, and they hate it, and they just say this is not for me, because they don't match with their personality. I was trying to say that they don't have the time, or I don't know, for any reason. But there are plenty of ways. I've seen connectors, brother, people connecting deals with buyers that is not even their deal, making 20, 30, 40, $50,000. Capital raisers. You don't have even to raise. You don't need to have the money. You don't need to have the deal. It's like connecting the guy with the money, with the guy with the deal, with the operator. People with 401ks, with IRAs, they don't need to invest. They don't need to find a deal. They don't need to do the work. They just go and partner or lend the money with a fixed rate, or just be a private money partner. There are like plenty of ways to making real estate.
Yeah, no, I love it. And if you haven't checked out Liuver's portfolio, he's got a cool Blink card that's got links to all the different stuff he's involved in, all the different ways that he finds ways to add value across the entire food chain of transactions. I was really impressed just by, there's almost no scenario that can come across your table where you can't either connect to someone who can help or you can help yourself. And I think that versatility and that ability to build a broad skill set that's a nice archetype for people to potentially build off of if they're looking to start their own journeys.
In my case, I'm a full-time investor, right? A little bit different from you, because you still your W-2, you're your wife. But I had to become that person who had all the solutions, right? Because if someone comes to me to find a solution to solve a problem, it's a duty for me to solve it, or know someone who can solve it. So that's why my portfolio, going back to your question, I have flips, I have buy and holds, cash, buy and holds and flips creatively, and cash. I lend to investors. I'm also an agent. I have like small team of agents that we list our properties. I'm into new construction too, like yourself. I'm building 2 duplexes. So again, having a solution for every problem in real estate. If not, I will find someone who can solve it.
I love it. I love it. Where can people go to connect with you? I know you launched a YouTube channel. You've got a number of different things you're involved in, but what's the best way for people to find you, to stay in touch with you?
So I basically, my 2 most active like socials is like Instagram. Actually, right there is like Liuver at liuver.sanuro, Instagram and YouTube. And also, if you can share Blink card is like a online presentation, like digital presentation. I have all the links there. Even my portfolio for lenders and partners. Now I recently added like a form to get in contact with me, add their information, and also submit deals if you have. So basically, yes, Instagram, YouTube, and the Blink card.
Awesome. We'll make sure all that stuff is in the show notes so that you can find you. And I'm looking forward to having you back on the show. And maybe we'll do some deal deep dives next time. I appreciate you sharing your story. I love that we got the origins in. And I know you have so much domain knowledge about all these deals that next time we can hopefully dive in and dig into some individual deals and break them down.
Awesome. Yeah, this is part 2, talking about the good deals and the bad deals, because I had a lot of those too.
Yes. Looking forward to it.
I love it, bro. Thank you so much.
Thank you for making it to the end of today's episode. As you may know, podcasts are very difficult to grow organically. If you're getting value from today's episode, I'd deeply appreciate if you can take 30 seconds to leave my show a 5-star rating and review. This will go a long way to help me reach more listeners just like you. Thank you so much in advance.